why physical retail is not dead. Please join me in welcoming Andrea Baldo to the stage.
Thank you. Thank you, Anita and Michael, for having me here. It sounds super corporate, what is written over there, but in a certain way, in 15 minutes, I will try to explain what we are doing and see if there is some sharing and some learning that we can share. It's 20 years I'm in the industry. Some things are really new. Some others, honestly, are the same things packaged under a new circumstances. But let's, for the ones that are not familiar with GANNI, let me give you just a couple of introduction of who we are. Next should do next. Yes, do next. So GANNI is founded 10 years ago by husband and wife, Dite and Nikolai, in Copenhagen. Nikolai is coming from tech. So that's why we have a kind of tech attitude in doing stuff at GANNI. He's a tech entrepreneur doing things on voice recognition and things like that, while Dita is a buyer for luxury brands. So she is the one that has experience on product and connecting with the community. And when they start the business, Nikolai said to Dita, I want to do it only if we go global and only if we do something that is linked to tech. Otherwise, fashion is too risky business. You don't know, ups and downs, and so on. So they started 10 years ago with this in mind. And today, as you are saying, it's a little bit the brand of the future because naturally it being embraced by the community of women much more than what the entrepreneurs think at the beginning. And I think it's partly, and we're trying to explain a little bit what happens, partly is obviously this Instagram movement that we have been really tapping into 5 years ago, and that makes the explosion of GANNI. But it's also something intrinsic in the culture of the company that resonates a lot with the young consumer. And in fact, we have 30% of our customers are below 24 years old in Scandinavia. And that's why I can share with you some of the insights we have when we look at new generation towards the millennial generation. I'm not the millennial generation, as you can see from my gray hair. So another things about the brand, it's Copenhagen-based, but 70% of the business is outside Scandinavia, which is a great achievement for a small brand like us. We have big ambitions, obviously, to grow faster. Another things that are kind of peculiar is that almost 27%, 28% of the business is through online channel. So the online channel is a big part of our business. It's bigger than the old retail stores all put together. We are also distributed multi-brand, so it's a kind of a strange mix of online channel, retail channel, and omni-channel, like your sweater very much. Thank you. And in the multi-brand is positioned quite high. So it's in the corner here in Berlin, it's in Selfridges, it's in Browns, it's in Liberty. So it's a kind of high positioning brand. And so because of this, when we talk to press, most of the press tell us, oh, you are a disruptor. But in reality, we are not a real completely DTC company. So the disruption is not into embracing online and doing online only. It's, I think, trying to achieve different things that usually is kind of, not easy to do. To have a high position, design-led company that is also offering kind of affordable price points. Okay, that's maybe is not super new. To do it extremely profitable, and we have been backed by El Catterton, the private equity company, and then when I come on board, it means that we are kind of on the top range of the profitability of the industry. And we are also putting sustainability at the center of everything we do. And I will give you a couple of examples of what I mean by that. So do these things is not easy. And so how is it? And then, okay, now you can get all the secret receipt, and then you go home and you try to replicate it. But honestly, it is all starting with product. If we are a fashion tech, it's not tech fashion, it's fashion first. So I think Dite found really a sweet spot in terms of aesthetic that makes a lot of sense. Secondly, is the team. We are a small number of people trying to do stuff differently than usual and trying to disrupt, in this case, the fashion community. We drop products on a monthly basis. We have different teams of designers working on different streams at the same time. Even if the company is quite small, And we try to attract one product at a time, try to solve it in 1 week, the famous sprint things. This is Nikolai's attitude toward tech that we are trying to bring into the company. We are data-led. We try to manage everything with data. And when I mean everything, it's not just the sales, the composition of our customer base, the engagement, but the engagement of the employee in the company is measured with an app. We are measuring all the carbon footprint with an app. So we are trying to be app first. And you see I have my app things in front of me. So we are really trying to embrace digital at maximum and find if there is a digital solution first. This has an implication on infrastructure, and we'll talk a little bit later about that. And then it's about responsibility. And then it's a kind of a buzzword, responsibility, sustainability today. And honestly, we have been very lucky to be born in Copenhagen, where Copenhagen, with the global fashion agenda, is based. If I do like this, you can press on. There's no problem. So, some examples of what I mean. First of all, we did 3 big commitments. A commitment towards CO2 reduction, in line with the United Nations, trying to get the reduction law to reduce the CO2 footprint even earlier, if possible. We do a commitment with LL Foundation on zero plastic, use of virgin plastic, and another one on circularity. So these are 4 examples of what we are doing. So one thing that we have started since the beginning is to compensate carbon on everything we produced and all the supply chain. So we manage, we measure, and we manage, and we compensate everything we do, which is not fantastic because we know fashion is unsustainable. We know we are part of the problem. So it's how we are trying to find a path toward the solution. So one solution was starting with that. Another thing is to reducing trash. So now, since now 6 months, we are using repack on every delivery in Europe, and 20% of the delivery is being based on repack. So we are getting back the packaging that can be reused. Another things we launched this summer was the rental business model out of Denmark, which has been starting small. It's still small, is a kind of test, but it's first, it's profitable. So everybody's thinking about rental not be profitable. You can be profitable in 3 months. And it has an impact. And the major impact is not the buzzword. It's because we want to reduce the amount of product we produced. And that's why it needs to be on brand to do the rental, and not to the rental models that are just taking things from the landfill and then potentially ended up in the landfill anything. The important thing is that we produce less, and that's why we own this. When we launched Repeat, we got an incredible engagement with Gen Z on Instagram. The largest amount of engagement came from this post, with 10 times more engagement than any other post, the average post we usually have. That tells you how engaging is this community about sustainability. And last thing is the take-back scheme in our retail stores. We start in Big Street in London to take products back, not from our brands, but also other brands, and try to upcycling the same thing we do with our stock. But on top of that, it's also culturally. We have vegan lunch. 90% of our lunch are vegan. We are getting, using the waste of coffee. I didn't know Denmark, I'm Italian, so we used to drink a lot of coffees, but Danish, wow, they drink much more coffee than us. So coffee waste is a big problem for our company. So we use coffee waste to create mushroom. So we have mushroom grounded using the grounded coffee, and that on a weekly basis we get mushroom into our lunch. We have ambassador programs. We have 20 people in the company that are ambassadors within the company and outside. So when we last October, there was a march, we closed all the stores in the company for 2 hours and go and march together with the younger in Copenhagen. So it's something that starts with our people. It's not just something where we can make it up of. And that's, I think, is a key important that I'm trying to talk about today. It's not about Gen Z. Are you Gen Z friendly? Have you Gen Z in your company? Do you let them run some of your initiatives? Because if it's not, then it's a marketing tool, and I'm not sure it's working with them. Talking about community then, as I said, 30% of the customers are Gen Z, and 40% are millennials, and the rest are a little bit older. What are the differences that we see when we talk to them and we analyze them? I think some confirm everything you have read so far. But a couple of things maybe are a little bit unusual. First, because they have more time, they shop more in the stores than online, which is good for retail, because it means that the new generation wants to have a connection with people and not just be fast on making purchase. That's one of the big things, early things. What else? Definitely, social media has been a big part. They follow YouTuber, influencer, much more than magazines. But also they want to be engaged more. And that's why they spend so much time on YouTube, because basically they want to know more. They are not satisfied by the surface. It's not satisfied by what is just on Instagram. They want to engage more. And that gives opportunity to create narratives and engagement in a different level. So if I have to kind of summarize, I see Gen Z to be more depth and less, which is based by a kind of deeper relationship than just a curiosity. So they want to know more. They want to know the truth. So they are not looking for just marketing language, but they want basically to interact and understand who is behind. And most importantly, they want to have personal connection. So they want to know the faces behind the company. Luckily, it's not me, because otherwise, you see, I don't fit very well with this. But talking about people, let's show you a picture of my team. This is our team in New York, taken by a magazine. She is a detail designer. And you see, we are basically embracing our community by being part of the community. I mean, maybe the community started before even we were start thinking about it. What it means? It means having a diverse team, having younger and team members, but also older team members. And it's basically being around a sense of sharing a purpose, which for us is unleash the femininity and having a bold statement, like the product we do and wearing in women. And there is something in the way we are doing it that maybe is just the zeitgeist, but is also maybe in the product and in communication that resonate a lot with younger consumers. So let me make you an example of what we did this summer to understand a little bit better what we mean by that. So obviously, you said before, I joined the company to grow, to help them grow globally, and US is an important market for us. I mean, it's going to be the first market for the company next year. So obviously, how we enter US was very important. And we decided to do it with a trip coast to coast. So from New York to LA, but you see the number of, the name of the cities are not the usual suspect cities. So we are talking about Nashville, Austin, Tucson. Why we are going there? Because we were analyzing data from the customers, and we were analyzing data of where the small boutique brands that has enhanced the brand in US so far were based. And we were trying to connect with the communities. So instead of big launch in Miami, LA, and New York, we were deciding to go there where the action is and try to make a trip with a learning. And that's what basically happened. You see the videos going? So a lot of fun, a lot of get-together. It was an experience, an experiment. It was our team from HQ in design with the local communication team with 10, 15, what we call here Gen Z important girls, from photographer to journalist to DJs, and trying to spend some time together driving in a Volvo electric car. It's kind of collaboration in this case. And see how we can make this a unified message to the final consumer. And what happened is basically that it's not just a communication tool. It's not just, yes, brand awareness, social media, having a lot of things to post, but it was also meeting our partners, commercial partners. So you can think about like a modern trunk shop when you go there and check out what's going on in the stores and having the windows, but it was even more than that. It was understanding who the customers are. So we were understanding what are the different way of styling the products, how this product is being embraced, because obviously being Copenhagen and being US is completely different environment. So you want to understand that. And we got data out of it because we partnered with Google, so we had the opportunity to push some communication, see when the reaction was, how far it was from each stores. So in a certain way, we're getting also data on our consumers. So it was a first experience of trying to get all the things together. And that's, I think, where omnichannel for us is almost dying. Because if you have a personal connection with consumer and you know them, basically, you have to take ownership of the relationship no matter where the channel is. And if it is through a mobile phone, then it's even more immediate. So we believe that what is being the silos of dividing the channels into different things and trying to change the communication doesn't make a lot of sense. So it's all about unified, basically, the commerce. It means having information at your fingertips from CRM, but also from transaction, but also from stock level situation, no matter where it is, in which channel. Is your stores, is online, is your wholesale partner, because at the end, it's about closing a loop in a relationship. That's obviously create a lot of issues from an infrastructure IT point of view, but from a communication point of view, it's becoming natural, because if you know your customers, that's basically what you want to get from them. So how the retail enter into this conversation? Obviously, for us, the retail stores is a hub for the local community. Local community now, as Instagram, can access the product through online, but they were missing a physical space. So the physical space needs to represent the brand and needs to represent the value. So this is our New York store. So there is some Danish-inspired, obviously, elements. There is elements from Nikolai and Dieter house, because it's getting very personal again. So it's about color, contrast material, but there's also some subtle narratives that link with what I was saying before. For example, recycling. A lot of things you see there is from recycling. So from recycling plastic from the molding industry, to the recycling plastic from the ocean that is making our furniture, to the recycling of our old goods, making rugs for the stores. The take-back circular model, that's what you see in our stores. The digital screen, obviously, where we can portray everything we do differently for each stores and curate in a different way. And some hints of where we're coming from. We come from Copenhagen, so in the changing room, in the old art, you get the sense that it's a Copenhagen-led company trying to touch base with you. And on top of that, it is physical. Obviously, you need to have some new mobile system that allow you to have on fingertips all the information you need to have this communication with your consumer and to get to social media directly to the consumer. It's something we are testing in US at the moment. It's one-stop shop solution, but we think that is the future to empower the sales staff. So, because we are at the beginning, sorry, what's happening? All right. Because we are at the beginning of the year, and I'm done, there is some New Year resolution. So what can be the questions that we can ask ourselves in order to engage with the Gen Z in a new way? Are your narratives and your internal culture linked with your customer values? I mean, if your customer values, and we are talking about Gen Z, you know what they are, you have to work backwards inside your company to match them. Are you hiring for diversity? Are you let the younger people lead some of the communication and some of the part of the company? Because otherwise it's very hard to get understanding what it means to connect with new consumer. It's about taking unexpected action. If you want to be interested, you need to do something in a different way. So unexpectedness is very important, and it needs to be important both on a digital and physical exactly at once. And then, that's the tech part that I'm not really able to answer, is how can you do that by giving a very agile infrastructure where you can plug and play different things and moving parts around fast enough to cope with the mobile. So I think if you start answering these things at the beginning of the year, and by the end of the year you start getting your answer, the chance that you have been engaging with Gen Z community is very high. Thank you very much.
Thank you very, very much. I think that was a nice swapping of the roles. Usually now would be the time for the Q&A, and I think we're also going to do that now. But I like the approach of you asking the audience first. So, do we have someone in the audience who is very curious about something specific? Yes. Yes. And then you can, you can talk.
Oh, I can talk in it.
Yeah.
Wow. Hi. Well, my question is actually, you said you have a full mobile solution. Does that also consider the payment in the offline store?
Yes.
So basically, the customer can only pay with his mobile phone?
Can pay with mobile and credit cards.
Sorry?
Mobile, credit cards, and...
Also, you have both solutions?
Yes.
It's not only mobile?
Yes, it's not only.
Well, that was the question. As it says, everything is based on that. All right, thank you.
And cash, if you are in Germany, because, cash is king.
Especially in Berlin. Okay, one last question.
Hi. So you say you're very sustainably oriented. Can you talk a little bit about your design process? And are you doing digital design? What is the sampling process? And how are you guys innovating and being sustainable when it comes down to actually the design itself?
Yeah. So first, our approach is that we are very honest and transparent, and we are not perfect. So we don't have the money to go fully digital on everything we are doing. But there is, so we are doing the models like the usual one. So we are developing samples and checking it. But there is one thing that we have embraced this year, which is a project that we are unleashing. I mean, we have started a year now ago, and we are presenting this April, which is trying to get a full sample set design with almost zero impact, which means not only the design process, but it's also how we sell it, we deliver, and how we can get circular back. Because the tackle is not just about the sustainability of the design purposes or the product sourcing or the shipment. You need to build circularity around the entire project. So we partner with Deloitte and with United Nations to try to get a solution that is fully digital from the way we design, we have the idea at the end until the way we ship it to the customers. It's that where we are trying to innovate. We are looking into, obviously, design, digital-only solution where we can get mannequins and swapping products and colors. I mean, the technology is really advanced. But for the investment so far, the focus for us is in the retail and in start to get the community out while we are also investing on these things. So just to give you a transparency, we are working on it, and but it's not